Hmm? Ah!
You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode, we are covering the black comedy horror film The Monkey, written and directed by Osgood Perkins and released February 21st, 2025.
Yes, another new one.
Relatively very recent one. And also, another time this season? No, it was the end of last season.
No.
Or was it the beginning of this one? I don't know. Time is a construct and nothing matters and means nothing. But if the name Osgood Perkins sounds similar to you, we covered another film that he directed recently. That's what I was leading to, is either the end of last season or early this season. Again, time, who knows. But yeah, director of Longlegs, and this is his next project after that. And so
yes.
was very, very excited and interested to jump into this one. So it being him directing a Stephen King adaptation with one hell of a cast that I was excited to see. So I was looking forward to this.
Absolutely. And you know what? I've decided I want more Osgood Perkins doing Stephen King adaptations.
Yes.
Because I think he does a great job bringing things to life. There are a number of differences between the short story, which, I mean, when you're turning a short story into a feature-length film, you have to make some changes to it in order to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
He's done a great job with this one. And
Absolutely.
I really would love to see him do more. Just because adaptations for Stephen King's work, they don't always work. Okay, they just don't. Sometimes it's a miss. A lot of times it's a miss. But I feel like Perkins did a great job with this one. And I'm starting to trust him, much like Mike Flanagan, who I also trust when it comes to doing Stephen King adaptations.
Yeah, Flanagan, especially Stephen King, but honestly at this point,
whatever he wants to do,
Flanagan
let him
could
have
do
it.
Fucking Dr. Seuss, and I'd be like, it's going to be the epic of the year, so let's go. I trust Flanagan to touch anything at this point, and so I'm like, yes, go.
Absolutely. He's done such a great job. We need to cover another Flanagan film.
We do. There are a few more we still haven't done. So.
Yeah, so let's do that.
At least one.
I
I can
think
think of.
the list of movies, Pake, that we have to cover, that we keep talking about, just keeps growing all the time, and trying to fit them all into this season is not going to work. So some may have to trickle into season 10.
Yeah. Or 11 or 12 or 78. You know, just whatever.
You mean when we are podcasting from a geriatric care center?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, those won't be available to anybody because we'll just be, like, recording them into, like, cans of beans. And nobody's actually listening. But for us, those will be great episodes.
Yep,
so.
they will. We'll be entertained with them. Okay, so The Monkey was filmed in Maple Ridge and Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. As we said, it's based on a 1980 short story by Stephen King. We already mentioned that he wrote and directed Longlegs. He does have a role in this movie playing Uncle Chip.
Yep.
The budget was between 10 and 11 million. It grossed 68.3 million at the box office. It's 98 minutes long. Pake, give us that beautiful synopsis.
All right. When twin brothers Bill and Hal find their father's old monkey toy in the attic, a series of gruesome deaths start. Years later, this strange antique puts a whole new hitch in their already strained relationship.
Can I just tell you that I am now terrified of monkey toys, whether they have a drum or cymbals or whatever. I don't want them around.
No.
I am done. It's terrifying. I don't need it. No.
Yeah, that thing was very scary. Just the eyes. And then just the teeth when the mouth does decide to open.
Oh.
A hand coming up. You're like, just the simple little movements. And you're like, well, shit's about to go down. This is awful.
Yes. You don't even realize it because at first, when you're watching the beginning of the movie, I mean, well, we have Adam Scott running in, and Severance, let's just be real. Severance just ended season 2 not that long ago. So was super stoked to see him. Had no idea it was just a very small part. But him bringing in the monkey toy and trying to get rid of it and pass it on to someone else was, you're just kind of like, okay, well, I guess it is possessed, but he doesn't want it and it's broken, but oh yeah, and then it drums. Okay. Mm-hmm. Bye-bye, shopkeeper.
Yeah. It set off what kind of movie this is going to be, which I really enjoyed. Again, Adam Scott, like you said, off the heels of Severance, I'm like, yeah, give me more Adam Scott forever. I mean, I've loved Adam Scott for a long time, really since, Step Brothers, but no, Parks and Rec for sure. Ben Wyatt for life. But yeah, so good to see him even in a small role. But yeah, that first kill of the movie with the shopkeeper, it's like, oh, his intestines just pulled back through him and all wound up. I'm like, oh, it's going to be that kind of movie with funny, creative deaths, and I'm in for the ride. Let's go.
Yeah, basically we start with a disembowelment at the beginning. Mm-hmm. What better way?
Right.
I did love that the character, Petey Sr., is covered in blood, but it's not even mine.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's not mine. Don't worry. Well, it's like, that doesn't make it better.
Yeah. Yeah. You do not want the goddamn drumstick to come down, because if it does, I promise you we are all fucked to hell. The shopkeeper, as usual, doesn't believe what the person in front of him is telling him.
Mm-hmm.
But I did love his idea to take it outside and burn it with a flamethrower. Why not? Let's try it.
Yeah.
Doesn't get rid of it, but oh well,
no.
Good start. Good try. Mm-hmm. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Was a little confused just for a second at the first. I was like, well, then the monkey's back in the attic. But then I was like, no, I assumed that the opening was chronological. And they set it up pretty easily. It was like the monkey somehow reappears in the house in its box after getting fully melted by their dad. The airline pilot who abandoned his family, or at least that's how it seems. But then after watching this movie, I feel that Hal took after his dad and probably had the same approach. Is whatever happened in that first scene, I'm sure what happened is he melted the thing down and then tried to go back home and was like, honey, I'm home, and the fucking monkey is back. It's right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he then made that same decision that Hal kind of makes with his own son, where he was like, I guess I'm just going to have to take this thing as far as I can away from them, and just for their own safety, just never be near them and just be out of their lives. So we don't ever get any confirmation on what happens to him, so why the monkey comes back. Because I feel like they were still pretty young whenever this happened.
Yeah.
Because we have the scene of Lois talking to Hal in the back seat, kind of telling him the story of their father leaving. So it sounds like they were young whenever he left. They didn't really know their dad that much.
Yeah.
So it has been years later, because they're probably, the age of 12, 13, something like that at the beginning of this, when we really pick up with the twins. And so within that time, so who knows, maybe their father died somewhere, and now that the monkey wasn't connected to him and he didn't have it somewhere, that's why it decided that time to make its reappearance.
Yeah, and it reappeared in beautiful, demented fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So as you mentioned, the casting for this was incredible. Mm-hmm. Tatiana Maslany as Lois. We did not get enough of her in this movie. She is so fantastic.
Yeah.
So amazing. For anyone who hasn't seen her in anything else, she was in She-Hulk. She's in Orphan Black. And those are just two really big, powerful roles that she had that were just amazing.
Also, I saw her as a very different thing, as I saw her do it's a video of it. I wasn't there. I wish I could have been. Of them doing a Star Wars script reading the first Star Wars movie, and just in full costume on stage reading the script and then like throwing in their own little jokes and doing bits and stuff. And Zach Oyama was the C-3PO to her Leia, and it was just an insane scene.
Oh my gosh. She is so committed when she's doing a role.
Oh yeah.
That I can imagine it was highly entertaining.
She played off the hologram, because it was the scene where R2-D2 is like showing the hologram of, help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only help. And she played off it glitching as her like just keep repeating the line in a sexier and sexier way every time, like, help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. Like she just kept putting more and more. It's so funny.
That sounds amazing. I'm gonna have to check that out because it sounds fun. Yeah, I loved her in Orphan Black. She portrayed more than one character. Mm-hmm. She portrayed clones of herself, and it was just amazing from beginning to end. So, yeah, love her. Love that she was in this. Again, did not get to see her that much. That was sad. Christian Convery as Bill and Hal. Young Bill and Hal. For those of you who like to listen to Pake's podcast, he's also he also covered Sweet Tooth over on Strange Indeed, and that starred Christian Convery.
Yep, yeah. So I was like, yep, Christian Convery is Hal and Bill. I was like, dual role, my dude. Because yeah, I got to give props to Christian, and then of course later on,
Theo James.
Yeah, Theo James does the same thing. And also impeccable, because it's the way both of them managed to do it. But especially at first, I took the note earlier in the movie with Christian, was like giving him props, because he won me over as Gus, obviously. But he's just continuing to do awesome stuff, and I love whenever I see him in things. But seeing him play two twin brothers with very different personalities that are on screen at the same time, a lot of the time, it's a lot of those editing tricks and stuff, where he manages to balance being the shy, quiet, sweet one and the cocky, douchey asshole kid at the same time. And they're each very distinct, and you get that feeling. I mean, yeah, like there's like the clothing and hair choices that definitely...
But demeanor
distinguish them. But even just the way he holds his face and talks and stuff, it's like, you can tell who he is. And it's, yeah, at a young age especially, which, he's probably like 16 or something now, so he's well into his acting career. He knows what he's doing. He's been around the block a little bit. And Theo James doing the same thing, where you're like, again, you're just like body language and the way you hold himself and the way you talk. It's like, yeah, you are Hal or you're Bill, and to be able to like fully embody two very different characters at the same time. At the same time is really cool.
And them interacting, like how do you act? I get it that actors and actresses have to play off each other when they're playing identical twins. It's something that happens. But to be a teenager and pulling it off in the way where you have polar opposites and have it be genuine, believable is a big feat. And so he pulled it off incredibly well. Yes. Sarah Levy as Ida. Like, Sarah Levy gave me so much joy in Schitt's Creek.
I know. I immediately was like, Sarah Levy! He was like, where are my Schitt's Creek fans at? Which then led me on a tangent thought. I was like, speaking of, apparently, Christian Convery, speaking about him as well, recently did a movie with another Schitt's Creek alum, Emily Hampshire.
Ooh, okay.
Is a horror thriller movie called Mom. And I was looking at it. You can rent it on Amazon, so it is out and it's available. It's out there, but I haven't heard much about it. And as far as like IMDb and Rotten Tomato scores and stuff, doesn't seem like it did very well. But that doesn't always deter me from stuff.
No,
so it's still definitely on my radar, because you say Emily Hampshire and Christian Convery.
Absolutely.
In a horror movie, I'm like, we might have to dive into that no matter what. We might
could.
Just have to check it out anyway.
We've been known to dive a little bit into movies that may or may not be the most popular movies out there, and we have enjoyed them, and that is totally fine, because that is what this podcast is about.
Yeah, and another Christian Convery thing. At this point, he's becoming a somewhat regular featured actor. I mean, this is his second one, but he's also in Cocaine Bear.
It's
fantastic.
I still see In my head, when I picture Cocaine Bear, I just picture him with blonde hair and just being that fun, precocious character. And now I want to go back and watch Cocaine Bear again, just for that reason. We get Elijah Wood in a very brief role.
I wish we would have got more Elijah Wood. He's so funny. We get him in one scene and just... This movie is right up my alley on, like, the dry and dark humor and, like, the just quirky humor. There's, like, even a lot of just, like, visual gags that I loved. And Elijah Wood fits that style so well. And just his whole, like, the, like, I took all your power. It's like, that's not how it's working. I took your power. Well, we're gonna arm wrestle. Like, his just it's those kind of that comedic styling choices that I'm like, it's so funny. And I wish we would have got more Elijah Wood because he's really good in that kind of
I feel like
comedy.
there were a few instances I'm like, can we get just a little bit more? Because I've really enjoyed these characters and we get them for such a brief moment that it's impactful, but I want more. And then, oh, wow, well, I could talk to you about this other actor that we get in it, and I'm sure that you know exactly who I'm talking about, because he was in a movie that we completely hated and ripped to pieces. The character of Ricky.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know who played him?
I don't. I mean, like, I saw the name in the casting.
Yes.
I didn't really recognize him.
Let me tell you. And then you're going to be amazed. So his name is Rowan Campbell. And he played Corey Cunningham in Halloween Ends.
Oh my God, that was... was that him? Oh, no.
Yes. I think his performance in this was infinitely better.
Yeah, for sure.
It was shorter.
Yeah.
It was better.
Yeah. I didn't even realize that was him. That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, I knew right away, and I could not even...
I feel like I tried to blank that, like, that any memories or anything from that movie, I think I've tried to, like, scrape out of my brain, so...
Okay. Did it work?
Maybe that's why.
Did it work
I guess
for the
so.
most
I didn't
part?
recognize him.
Okay, good. Well, because he did have longer hair, and, it was different. I knew right away because I went to look up the name. I'm like, oh, okay, I've seen that name before. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Corey from Halloween Ends. Pake is going to lose it when he sees that. But you didn't even notice, so that's great. So you brain bleached yourself enough to have gotten rid of it.
Yeah, it's like I was too busy taking in the great visual. I think just because I mentioned them, my two favorite visual gags that the camera sits on for a little bit, and again, it's because my sense of humor is so stupid, and I love, is whenever they're going to Maine, which of course they move to Maine in a Stephen King story. I'm absolutely shocked, baffled, I tell you.
And I have to tell you that phone book that shows up that says Casco on it. There's no way that there would be that many people in Casco. Casco is not that big. It is a town in Maine. It is not that big. Not that big at all.
Yeah, that's another thing I was wondering, is if that's a real place. Is it like because he likes to use real places, but he also likes to use places like Salem's Lot and Castle Rock that don't exist. So
yeah, Casco, Maine, population 573 people. So that's like what, 3 pages of that phone book? Right. 4?
Maybe.
That's more of a Portland area phone book. Although, I mean, no, there's no way that there's that many.
But yeah, so but the when they're entering that, the sign for the welcome to Casco thing, it says the township of Casco, Maine, birthplace of its locals, and I'm like, yeah. The humor is impeccable on that. I'm like, it's just those kind of stupid jokes where it's like just obvious. I'm like, yeah, that's funny. I love it.
So, Pake, I don't know. Do your friends recommend movies to you and say that they're a Pake movie?
Yeah, they do.
Because I get that too.
In a way. Yeah,
I get that too.
I had brunch with my friend Levi last weekend, and we talked movies and stuff, and he was like, yeah, have you watched The Monkey yet? And I was like, we're going to cover it soon, so I'm holding off on it. And he was like, it's your humor. It's a you movie. And I'm like, yeah.
I get that a lot with TV shows or movies.
Mm-hmm.
People will have me in mind and message me and say, oh, that's a Daphne movie. This is definitely a movie that you would love. This is a movie that you would enjoy. They're usually right. Sometimes not, but usually they're right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the other visual joke that I loved is, speaking of Elijah Wood, as Ted Hammerman is the character he plays. Because when we first see Hal's working in the grocery store and he's reading the Fatherhood 7 by Ted Hammerman, because you see Elijah Wood's picture on the back, and so I kind of figured, I was like, that's gonna be who's with his ex-wife or son's mother, and yeah, of course. But so there's like that little, it sits on it for a little bit, so I had to pause and look at it, is the other books that he has written. So alongside Fatherhood 7.
Oh boy, I can't wait.
Hammerman is also the author of such hit books such as The Male Member of the Family, Jesus is Dad, Fatherhood 3, and Dad Juice.
Okay. Well, the fact that there are things like Fatherhood 3 and Fatherhood 7, but no Fatherhood 1.
Yeah, those were the only two that were ever like shown on like that he had on display. It's like, what happened to the other ones? That
reminds me a lot of a movie, Thanksgiving, that didn't have a second one and went straight to the third. Mm-hmm. You just never know what you're going to get with it.
Of course, the irony didn't pass me by that I was like, this guy's writing all these books about fatherhood because he's the leading expert. But we see, he's been like raising, quote unquote, Petey alongside with his mother. He has no children biologically of his own.
Nope.
And he's probably been writing these books since before he knew Petey. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what? What is this?
He may have children in a bunker somewhere that we don't know about. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I would be quite concerned about taking parenting advice from someone who isn't a parent unless they are a trained psychologist. And somehow I don't think he's a trained psychologist.
But with a book title like Dad Juice, he's got to
be. Oh, no. Yeah, no. I don't think so. I don't. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, so let's talk about characters. And I feel like we have to start with Hal, even if he's the younger one of the twins, because he's really who we see through most of the movie, except for there's a chunk of time where we don't see him at all. So we'll be skipping to the end at some point.
Yeah, but he is the main character, because not only... So we see him and his brother, which it's still like in my brain be like, it's Christian Convery playing both roles, but it is two different people. But it's his voiceover, like the narration throughout the movie as well, like at least in the beginning. So Hal is who we're following. Talk about casting enough. Can we ever give Christian enough love?
No, I feel like we need to, as you know, you found another movie where we'll be covering that. We have to keep doing it because he's so great.
Yeah. But yeah, so they find the monkey in the closet there, and it's just this, turn the key and see what happens. And what that is someone will die soon. And as Hal learns, unfortunately, pretty quickly, you don't have a say in who that is.
No, you don't.
Because he says he wishes his brother was dead, and then their mother dies from some kind of horrific bloody aneurysm.
Well, even before that, we get the death of Annie Wilkes, the babysitter. Annie Wilkes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I caught that immediately.
Annie Wilkes. Death by hibachi chef.
She just wanted to go on a date with that cockadoodie hibachi chef. Yeah, that's where we saw the monkey really in its first action. Is Annie thought the hibachi guy was cute, but thanks to the monkey, we see her get a little hot-headed.
Does she really get hot-headed? Or...
I'd say so.
Okay. So. I guess you're right. I think we should talk about why Hal wanted to kill his brother. Like, why he wanted his brother dead.
Bill's a dick.
He is an incredible shithead. I mean, he bullies him. He taunts him. He embarrasses him. He turns kids at school against him, so they bully him too. And I don't think his mother realized that is going on. I feel like Hal covers a lot of it up. But Bill is just a little monster.
Yeah. I mean, he's 3 whole entire minutes older than Hal, so he is the boss. That makes sense.
Don't forget how much of the placenta he ate. Because that was a big point at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, him and the girl boss bully squad.
Oh my gosh.
Just a living hell at school.
Yeah, it was bananas.
Yeah, so yeah, he goes to the monkey after... Again, it's like... I've got to just take the logical leap that Hal and even Bill, that the boys figure out very quickly what the monkey is about and what it does and how it works. It's just one of those, it's taken from a short story, so there's not a lot of super world building. There's, when you do a full length movie, you flesh out some stuff, but at the end of the day, it's like, how much time do we want to waste on how do they find out all the magical logistics of how this thing's working? It's like, no, they just make a guess and they're right and they move on. And that's fine in horror. Sometimes we don't have to worry about all of that. They do have the conversations of they're not sure if the person who turns the key is definitely safe. And that's when we have that conversation, is when we learn that Bill doesn't know that Hal is the one that turned it when their mother died originally.
Oh, man.
We do learn later on he figures it out pretty quickly after that, but...
Yeah, that was incredibly sad. Watching Bill come in and see his mother just basically melting in front of him, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, So yeah, we talked about Bill's an absolute asshole, and so that's why Hal is wishing him dead in that moment, and then it picks their mother instead. And that's when we get one of my favorite, not because it was funny. Usually my favorites are there because they're funny, but this one was actually because it was emotional and impactful and meaningful. The narration of Hal's voice, of Theo James' voice, saying, "It doesn't take requests. It kills who it wants when it feels like it, and it doesn't owe you an explanation. It's true what it says on the box. It's just like life."
Yeah. It's true. I wrote all of that down as well because I'm like, man, it's so deep. And not deep at all.
Yeah,
actually, at the same time.
No. Yeah, and then the next note that I have after that is another exact quote, which is on the other side of the spectrum, is more the funny. It comes from Uncle Chip. You mentioned him earlier.
Chip, man.
Where he says, "I want you to know we're going to do our very best with you boys. It's just that our very best might be pretty bad."
Yeah. They didn't want kids. They weren't planning to have any.
He was honest and straightforward. Yeah. I almost was expecting it to end even sooner with there, and it kind of took that, but then he gave that line, which was also funny. But I think comedically, my sense of humor especially, it would have been equally just as funny if, Chip came in and sat there next to Hal and looked like he was going to give him this pep talk and loving uncle kind of thing, and just put his arm around him and went "Yeah, we never wanted kids." All right, good talk. And then just leave. just drop that on him and then just walk off. That would have also been hilarious. But we got some good stuff.
We did. It was kind of ridiculous because just the way he sat there, matter-of-factly said it was just
yeah.
We're going to do our best, but it might be bad. Okay, yeah, okay, sure. This is a child who just lost his mother, and he's going through some shit. Not to mention his brother who lost his future wife in Annie Wilkes, because that was going to happen. Yeah,
because she was totally going to be super into Bill.
Absolutely. Before Chip has that little heart-to-heart, and before their mother dies, there is a Mrs. Torrance that is yelled out at school, and I just wondered if you caught that. Torrance.
I did not.
Yes. I was listening for those things after the first one. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't hear any others, but those are the two that I definitely like heard. It was so sad to watch Lois die like in front of Bill. I really felt for him at that moment. I'm like, I know you're a little shit, but that's your mom, and that's very sad that this is happening in front of you. I mean, Bill even tries to get his mother to wake up. He just, wake up, and she doesn't.
Yeah, that was, I thought about that scene back again. A jump to the end is where, when we get the big, fantastic twist, by the way, of figuring out what was going on, is like that Bill is behind the people dying with the monkey coming back. And it's all because he just hates his brother Hal so much that he's just planning on, he's luring him back into town so he can kill him.
Yes.
And what a twist. But it makes sense when they're having that conversation with each other at the end where he says, you really wanted to kill me. He says, yeah, because you killed my mom.
Yes.
And my brain jumps back to Bill at the funeral having that moment where he's kind of having a breakdown.
Yeah. Where
he's not thinking straight and having that whole, like, okay, Mom, it's a funny joke. Wake up now. Like, you can see that this has absolutely traumatized and devastated him he was already an absolute dick. He was a shitty little kid. But that moment, I think, really is what snapped in him that made him what he became later.
Oh, absolutely. I did love what Hal said to him. None of us deserve what happened to us. Everybody dies, and that's life. I'm sorry your mom died. That fucking sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I know how you feel. She was my mom, too. And I think Bill was so far away from that and did not even connect Hal with being his brother or that Lois was his mother, too, because Bill was mired in the way he was feeling at the time, and nothing was the same after that. I mean, you see the craziness that he lives in. He's got all these different contraptions and booby traps and protection devices trying to, for whatever reason, I mean, to do whatever. Who knows? Protect himself, not protect himself. I mean, he has to find the monkey. He has to figure out where the monkey even is. But we should probably go back to Hal deciding to take it upon himself to chop the fucking thing up.
Yeah. So the monkey bleeds. That was just another thing. Like, live it bleeds, you can kill it, right? Apparently not. No, not in this one. No. But he still fully butchers and dismembers the thing and Dexter Morgans it into a trash truck. That's his plan. Doesn't work. It still just pops back up where they moved to.
Yeah. It doesn't go away. It always comes back. I mean, they put it at the bottom of a well at one point.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bad magic killer monkey. Bad monkey.
Also, random note, but it just is in here at this point. The soundtrack was also incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Just the music choices were so good throughout this whole movie.
Absolutely. Bill, at one point, while they were waiting for, they had been to Lois's funeral, and he was just laying on the bed, and they told him talked about he should take his suit off, and he said, if I take it off, I'll have to put it back on as soon as there's another funeral. And I mean, at that point, they'd already buried Annie and then Lois. So, I mean, I get it. He just doesn't want to.
Mm-hmm. Why do they keep getting the same priest to come back and do the funerals? Because that guy is absolutely the worst at that job. Which is, again, the dry dark humor that is fantastic and I love. But just when that first at Annie's funeral, where he's just like, oh, fuck. And then has this whole, but not her head, because it's separate. A separate thing. Like, he keeps stepping on himself and trying. It's so funny. He has
no charisma at all. He has no tact. He is basically an idiot standing up there. It's ridiculous.
It's great, though. Great humor. Again, just the darkly funny moments. Like, we should test it out to see if somebody else we know dies too. And it's like, no, don't, and immediately cuts to funeral photo. R.I.P. Uncle Jim.
Who was trampled by a herd of 67 horses while he was in a sleeping bag on a camping trip.
Mm-hmm. Turned out looking like a dropkick cherry
Yes, I would agree with that. I mean, honestly, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Then we finally, we get a 25-year time jump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they drop the monkey down the well, and it stays there for 25 years. Or does it?
It doesn't.
Bum, bum,
I don't think it does. Someone's minding it, though. Somebody is taking care of it, I think, at the time. Or it's just having a nap.
Yeah, I think it vanishes. Who knows what it was doing? It wasn't doing anything in that 25 years. Like, as far as I know, it can tell is like, because we find out Bill puts the 2 and 2 together in his little pea brain.
For being born first, he definitely didn't get the brains.
No, did not. But he does put together that it was, in fact, Hal that was responsible for their mother's death. And so he climbs back down there to go get the monkey back to enact his revenge. And he finds the key. No monkey. And for 25 years, it's nowhere to be found until it reaches back out to him and it kind of starts showing itself to him. And then I think it appeared back at their Aunt Ida's house on its own.
Oh my God, Aunt Ida.
Of course, somebody had to have turned the key, so I don't know. There's still some missed kind of pieces that I'm not sure about.
Yeah.
But either way, then it was there to be at the estate sale where Ricky could find
Ida
it.
could have been accidental. I mean, the whole thing where her face caught on fire and she was running out the door and stepping in something and then running into...
She did hear the music and the drum, though, so there was that setup.
True. Okay, yeah.
But as far as how that happened, I'm not sure.
I laughed because it was ridiculous. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
She was running around screaming with... I don't know.
Oh yeah, on its return, the monkey had some lost time to make up for, and it did old Aunt Ida in full Final Destination style. Definitely,
for sure. That's what it looked
like. It was like one thing that led to another, that led to another, that led to...
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then, yes, Ricky shows up to find the monkey at an estate sale. And that's when I said, Ricky the local thrasher, played by Corey himself. Oh my God. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. So yeah, the time jump, and then picking back up with Hal, which I guess, honestly, it is surprising to me that Hal has a kid. Like, it is one of those things that people are like, you?
Yeah, why would you have a child if you were conscientious about this monkey, not wanting to bring another person into the family? Like, it seems
of course,
like he wouldn't.
He makes it clear it was an accident, as he tells his son
Petey.
To his face. Poor baby, poor Petey. I felt for that kid so much. I did too.
Petey, who's named after Hal and Bill's father. Mm-hmm. Who is, I feel like he's almost a pawn. Makes it a point to only be with his son once a year.
Yeah, just for his birthday, and again, like, in his mind, in Hal's mind, it's like, because of this monkey thing, and no one's ever safe, and it could come back at any moment, I'm protecting my son, but really all he's doing is just pushing him away and having Petey in this position where he's like, well, my dad doesn't love me. Mm-hmm. And I'm a mistake, and he wants nothing to do with me. And he comes once a year for my birthday, and we spend a little time together because he's obligated to. Like, it leads to Petey growing up with a lot of really, like, harsh emotions toward his father. At least you would think it would. But I've got some notes. I'm like, I like Petey because he could have just been like, yeah, fuck you, Dad. If you don't want to spend time with me, I don't want to spend time with you. Just let them sign over the paperwork and be out of my life forever. But instead, you really see Petey, like, being the one that's pushing it to be like, we have this time together. Yeah, it hurts me deeply that you're going to just not fight Ted on this adoption thing, and you don't seem to care. But if we have 1 week left together, I want to spend that last week. Like, Petey's the one that's really pushing for that. And so it kind of hurts me more because I'm like, clearly Petey loves his dad.
He does.
somehow, for some reason.
He's asking him questions.
He's just a good person. Like, he's just a good kid, because it's like, he has every right to be like, fuck you, get out of my life. But he doesn't. Even when it seems like his dad doesn't care for him, he's the one pushing to try to have a relationship with his dad anyway.
Well, Hal signs his birthday card, Hal. And then puts dad in parentheses, and I'm like... And when Hal goes to see him, he doesn't know that they're going to make this the last time. I don't think.
Yeah.
Then he finds out when he's there. And, I mean, Petey asks him all these genealogical, questions, about what's your mother's name and your father's name, and do you have any siblings? And Hal even lies to him and doesn't tell him the truth about Bill. And I feel for Petey, because I feel like the entire time, at least during most of the movie, he can't really trust if what he's being told by Hal is true.
Right. And again, not to say that it's good or justified, but Hal has his reason for doing those things. I fully think that the reason he lies about Bill is because he doesn't want anything to lead to something else. He doesn't want to open up an opportunity for Petey to go, I have an Uncle Bill. Let me reach out to him and find out who he is. And then he finds Bill and has a relationship with Bill. And then the monkey has a way back into Petey. He's doing everything he can to cut all ties to that curse.
Yes.
And so he does tell him, I think, because you see him even falter and question in his own head whether he's even going to tell his son his mother's name, his grandmother's name. And then he makes this decision, well, she's dead anyway, so he can't do really any information with that, so sure.
Yeah, but
he's scared to give him any information or any connection at all.
I don't blame him. I mean, he doesn't want Petey to be able to look anything up or learn anything about the family and what would come up in a Google search. I mean, any of that could come up. And I get what Hal's trying to do. I just think that it's really difficult to...
Oh, he's still a terrible father. It's like he has his reasons and he believes he's justified in them, but that still, he has ruined and decimated that father-son relationship by doing that.
Yeah. I really feel for Petey. I just think that it took us to get to the end of the movie and come full circle. But Petey, I think, finally got answers. It just took a while to get there. And I think their relationship gets repaired. But for most of the movie, it didn't seem like that was what was going to happen. Yeah. I mean, Petey goes out and wants to get, is like, well, we could go, skydiving lessons and...
Oh, the skydiving. I love that they paid that bit off.
Me too.
I love it.
Was that bride skydiving, right?
Yeah.
That was so... Because they do weddings.
It was such a great callback to the joke, because he's like, well, there's the skydiving thing. Because we learned Petey... Again, a reason I really liked Petey as a character is he's so funny. Again, darkly funny. Again, when they're in the hotel room, and he's like, oh, I should probably get you some dinner, huh? And he goes, only if you want me to, survive.
Yeah.
Which I was like, okay, with that line, I was like, I like this kid a lot. He's funny. And then that was the thing, is they have the skydiving thing. It's like skydiving lessons. He goes, and I didn't write this one down word for word, but he says something to the effect of, he's like, I feel like that's something you kind of just, you don't really learn to get better at. You either can do it or you can't. You get one chance, if you're bad at it, you don't get a chance to do it again or something.
Definitely not.
And then Hal kind of laughs at that, is like, you're funny. He even has that, but he goes, look, and they even do weddings. And so they pay off that joke with the skydiving bride and groom
that was
crashing
amazing.
through the ceiling.
When the monkey went completely nuts, basically.
Yeah.
That, we'll get to that.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I mean, Hal kept telling Petey to stay in the car all the time. For everything. He was trying to keep him out of things.
Yeah, which, again, the heartbreaking... That kid had some, real great delivery on heartbreaking stuff. That way, when he says, go wait in the car, he's like, oh, yeah, your favorite thing for me to do. Stay away. I was like, oh, man.
And Petey knows about the adoption. He just wants to spend what little time they have left together. Basically, he wants them to be able to enjoy this time together. But Hal is so terrified about, I don't know. I think some of it's he's terrified for Petey, and then the rest of it, I don't even know what it is. He just has become accustomed to this life. And this is how it is, and he's not going to be around his kid. And the point that really, oh man, when they get into the discussion about Petey being an accident, I was so, struck by that. I really, I don't know how you come back from that, but then Hal follows it up with, it was an accident, but you are not a mistake. And I thought that was a really good comeback from saying something really dumb. And I do love that Petey kept trying to get in on whatever was happening, because at one point, after Hal tells him to stay in the car, he talks about needing to go to the bathroom, and he can only do it in a house. And that made me laugh so hard.
And he's like, are you serious? And he was like, is that a bet you're willing to lose on?
No. But that's also the same time that he finds out he has an uncle named Bill.
That, again, a joke that I just absolutely thought was, it's sad, but it's also just really funny, is, Barbara, the realtor, repeating, it's just that delivery of being like, and I talked to your brother, Bill, and oh my god, your brother, Bill, he was so good. Your brother, Bill, the way she just keeps repeating it over and over, right in front of Petey.
Punch in the face over and over.
To just punch it in over and over right after he'd said, I don't have any brother. And then Petey has one hell of a comeback, and too, because she's trying to hand him a card. And he's like, oh, me, the human child who doesn't buy houses very often? No, I don't need this. Because I just found out that I have an uncle, apparently. That I can't,
Yeah, and then he finds out that not only does he have an uncle, they're twins.
He's right to my face directly that he said,
And they're twins.
That he didn't have a brother, and I just found out, And then she's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But I love just the way that Petey was so direct with her. About no, and this, the sarcastic, tone in his voice, to where she's like, so no card then. It was that he out-weirded the weirdo, and so she's like, well, I'm gonna back down then.
So
Got
fun.
it.
So fun. Barbara doesn't last very long. She kind of gets shot with a double-barrel shotgun and explodes.
Yeah. The monkey's been up to some business around town. These Casco locals have been dropping like flies for the past week. Rogue lawnmowers, espresso machines, and, those well-known pesky pests, the Maine cobras. And now add closet shotguns to the list.
Yeah, that is kind of what she reveals just before she is taken out. And I love that the cop said, you might want to find another place to go, because upstairs is like that restaurant Spaghetti City.
Which, have you been up there? He wasn't just...
he didn't witness it.
The writing, again, it's the jokes. It's so funny.
Well, and you know what? Oz Perkins wrote this too. He didn't write the short story, but he wrote this movie.
But yeah, the dialogue, the jokes. And so this movie, because Longlegs, we covered, we enjoyed. But it's a different movie than this. There were a few little humorous bits thrown in here or there, but not to the degree this was. So I felt like I was okay, because I don't think I've seen anything he's directed before Longlegs. I think Longlegs was my introduction to Perkins as a director. And so then I was like, we enjoyed Longlegs, and so I was like, okay, I'm interested to give this one a shot, because I liked what he did with that.
Yeah, definitely.
And now to see this side of him, where I'm like, oh, he's also incredibly funny. Okay, now I'm on board for anything he does from this point on. I'm in. Let's do it.
Not bad for the son of Anthony Perkins. Not bad at all. I think it's pretty cool to see two different points of view from the same director in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And he did do The Black Coat's Daughter, which I heard was good. I think Chris has seen it. And he did do I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. And I've heard that is good. Those are both movies we could cover, I think.
Yeah. Might have to get some more Osgood Perkins.
Yeah, I think that we do. I mean, and, well, let's just say it. He was in Nope for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, it's good. Where are we at? I don't know. Yeah, we talked about we skip over a lot with talking about Hal, just because the movie does focus more on Bill and Petey and kind of things that are going on in those realms, but I'm trying to see if I just skipped over anything. Of course, we learn Hal doesn't talk to Bill anymore, which I don't blame him. Just slightest little bit. So we've talked about a lot of why he does what he does with Petey. Yeah, I was saying, just going back, because I was like, my notes, I was like, this Ted guy sucks and wants to legally adopt Petey as his own. So this last week that they have some time together before he's pushed out of his life permanently. Also, didn't I mention that Ted sucks? Of course, also, then Elijah Wood, I do wish we could have got more of, because I love
and
Elijah
he's
Wood
so
a lot.
funny. I feel like we don't get to see him enough as funny. Like, I get to see on Yellow Jackets last season, so season 2, he had some really fun moments.
Yeah, he did.
This season, not so much. A few, but not as much. We didn't see Walter as much, but I feel like he's just got it in him to be, witty and dry and fun. And we just don't get to see it enough.
Yeah.
I have to say this. Can you tell me why? The whole town is outside cheering.
Yeah. No, I was like, why is there a full cheer squad outside of the house as the coroners are dragging off what's left of Barbara? No clue. I don't know what was she just that bad of a realtor?
I don't know. I don't know, but they were outside cheering. I don't know what that was about at all, but I'm okay with it because it was actually hilarious.
Yeah. No clue. Yeah, and then the monkey, when he gets the call from Bill at the motel, where it's like somehow the monkey's found its way back into Hal's life. And again, because Bill calls under the guise of warning him and telling him you need to go back to Casco so you can find where the monkey is and you can get it and make sure that nobody else can turn the key. We later learn all this on the guise of luring Hal to Casco so where he's closer in range to where his turning the key on the monkey experiments will work on him.
Can we just point out the fact that Bill has taken great lengths to hide himself? Like, he's not listed in the phone book under his name.
Right. He's Miss Monkey.
Can you even tell me why? I don't get
it. Bill's something else. He was interesting.
Did you notice his clothes when he redid his suit and he just took clothes from his childhood and sewed them in there so there was like fire in the middle? Oh my god.
Right, he just had he was wearing his funeral suit that that we talked about the scene earlier of him saying he didn't want to take off because he had to put it back on. Now he's putting his suit from when he was 12 years old, and he's trying to fit into it, so he has to basically turn it into a crop top.
Yes. So he's taken a shirt he had as a kid, which was this shirt he wore when he saw his mother die, and he's sewing it onto the bottom, and I mean, this is like Project Runway home ec style. I mean, really.
Bill's something else.
He's fun.
But yeah. Yeah, so Bill gives Hal the call, tells keep the key forever unturned, basically. But then I should have thought something was up, but I really didn't think of it, because Bill's such an asshole that it's like, well, he's just going to pick at Hal any way he can. Anyway, but he was laying heavy on using Petey's name as a tactic to get him there. Well, what would you do? What would your son think about that? Why don't you bring your son? You want to spend time with your son.
Because he had a plan.
Show him you're not a coward.
He had a plan all along.
Man. Bill was right that the monkey was back in action again because of him, but Hal finally realizes that's definitely true through an exploding woman. That water was insanely supercharged, I guess. That was a little much. Some of the deaths were just way overboard, but on purpose, and it was fun.
Honestly, it had that vibe of Final Destination with some of the deaths. I mean, It did.
yeah, after seeing that, of course, yeah, he freaks out and goes back and wakes up Petey and I'm going back to sleep. Make like eggs and scramble. I was like, yeah, shout out to Mom on that one.
Loved it. Yes. This is kind of when we learn a little bit about Petey Sr. being a pilot. And, I mean, you see his code in the beginning, but, I mean, really getting to the point of, like, that he was a pilot. And we get introduced to Bill's booby trap fortress that he's created to hide in from the monkey. I guess. I'm not really sure. I'm assuming.
No. I mean, no, because he had the monkey in there with him. So, he's using the monkey. I don't know why
he's eccentric, I guess.
He's very eccentric. It's like the whole reason he's in there and got himself all boarded up is like, he doesn't want anybody figuring out what he's doing and coming after him or something. Like, I don't know. He's lost it.
Yes.
Of course, we learn with Bill. I mean, we saw like where he definitely was broken. So I'll talk about Bill a little bit. Well, we can get to him in a second. Because I only have one more note about Hal.
Let's go to Hal.
Which is just, I only have one more note anyway. Because then I jump all the way literally to the end of the movie. Just after like the whole town of Casco is wiped out, and I thought it was a really cool kind of a tone shift a little bit with some more imagery that was like, you question the reality of what's going on a little bit, but it was also like a cool moment is that they're stopped at that red light and then you literally get death on a pale horse trotting through town. And it's like, who can see is like, we see like Hal's watching this, like, does Petey see that too? And then I had this thing like, were they dead? Like, I'm like, what's happening? What's going? And then there's not really an answer to that. I don't think so, but it's just this like kind of moment. And they're like, what do we do after all this? We're gonna go dancing. Because
that's what Lois loved.
Mm-hmm. But I remember, the scene of like after Annie's funeral, and then her thought, which weird pep talk, Mom,
about dying and about it happens to Everett.
We're all gonna die, and sometimes it's in horrible, violent ways. Anyway, let's get ice cream.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but yeah, I did like that scene. And it's like we're gonna go dancing, and it's like not even out somewhere. Like they're just back at home, and you just kind of the camera seeing through the window as the three of them are dancing. Even Bill is like, he looks like he's happy and having a good time. And of course, seeing Christian Convery in that role, it immediately made me think of season 2 of Sweet Tooth when Gus hears music for the first time in like the lodge, the Rangers Lodge, and he's dancing to the music and stuff. Like, it made me think of that, and I was like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was so long ago.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, they end this movie with this wonderful thing, which is basically a bus full of cheerleaders getting decapitated by a passing truck, and I was just kind of like, okay. And that's how we end The Monkey.
Mm-hmm.
It was those same cheerleaders. They were being punished for cheering for Barbara being carried out of the house.
Yeah. I feel like there was definitely like some things that maybe were left out that were deleted or kind of rewritten that like, because the one big question I do have is Ricky.
Ricky was a young boy.
Because we learned, like, Bill put out, like, basically, like, a Craigslist ad or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I'm looking for this monkey. If anybody finds it, I will pay you to bring it to me. And Ricky's the one that finds it at the estate sale and brings it. But he takes it home first. And, like, there's this whole storyline of Ricky that isn't touched on much, and I feel like there may have been more that was cut out. Where, like, his mom works at a factory, and we get this flashback of his dad was a cop, but, like, there's weird stuff going on, like, I guess his brother or something that was, like, military.
Beauchamp.
And there's just, like, so much weirdness in, like, that family union, and, like, that there's, like, a spiritual connection to the monkey there. That, like, it reminds me of my dad, and, like, I have to have it back, and we never find out what any of that
You know what?
meant.
I started to wonder if he was, Bill's illegitimate son, or another son of Petey Sr. after he disappeared. But, no, I don't think it was any of that. But again, you know what I thought, honestly? Was, oh, okay, so they figured out how to neutralize Ricky's character, which is very much what they should have done it to Corey in Halloween Ends. Got it. They knew what they were doing. Oz Perkins got the memo and fixed it. Thank you so much.
Yes, I don't know what was up with Ricky. Like, he had a good purpose in the movie, but like, I feel like there was some like backstory or other stuff with him that we didn't get that maybe was originally there.
I think so.
Because it feels like there was a connection to the monkey with him and his family too that was like, it felt like it was set up and then we got nothing out of it.
So much so that he became obsessed with the monkey and went to Bill's to try to buy it back from him.
Yeah. Well, that's why he like kidnaps Hal and Petey at gunpoint, has them drive over to Bill's fortress, and then like again at gunpoint like forces like Petey's gonna climb into the doggy door and go get the monkey and bring it back to me.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And that's what happened.
But why was he doing that? I don't know.
I have no idea why he was doing it.
Oz Perkins, I know you're listening.
Tell us, why was he doing it? Or are we missing something and we need to watch some deleted scenes? Because I'm down to do that if that's what we need to do. Bill gets his way, though, because he gets Petey to turn the key.
Yeah.
You know, talking to him in this way of, why don't you try turning it? Huh? Probably just needs a different touch. And then goes on to talk about it being generational and Shelburne's doing it for years. And so Petey does it because he doesn't know.
Which I'm surprised Petey fell for that.
Yeah, he's smarter than that.
In my head, I'm like, Bill's laying on the... Go ahead and turn the key on this. Totally normal, just a toy, definitely not anything wrong with it. That's crazy, we would say that. That's perfectly normal. Absolutely, completely typical, usual monkey toy. Nothing bad's gonna happen. I'll go ahead and do it. Like, it felt like he was doing that, where it was almost like you're laying it on too thick. And
absolutely.
To where I was surprised with Petey. I was like, Petey, really? The literal last thing that your dad said to you as you got out of the car was, do not turn the key. And then Bill asking you to do that in the absolute creepiest way imaginable should have been a signal that maybe your dad was right. I don't know why you did that.
Well, and that whole thing facilitates the demise of Ricky, which starts as shooting a hole in the windshield and then ingesting some wasps.
Yeah, it was obvious that the wasp nest was going to come back into play.
Absolutely.
But I was absolutely not expecting that.
No. No. Somehow I thought he was going to get out of the car and it was going to fall on him. I did not see it. I'm going to accidentally shoot a hole in the window and then they're just going to come in and not bother you, Hal. Just come into me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get up close and personal with him.
It was intense. It was crazy. Yeah. So I'm on to Bill now. I think I've got all my Hal. Randomly going back to Bill as a kid, there's really two. I wonder if there was more again in the dialogue or the script that didn't get used, but I noticed him as a kid, and I don't know, because he's kind of an idiot, is just terms and words and stuff that he said incorrectly. There was two that I took note of at least. Is whenever they're taking the monkey and like looking through the stuff in the attic, and you know, he starts playing around with the monkey or something, and Hal says, no, don't touch that, whoever, it's Dad's. And he's like, well, Dad's not here, and I'm next of skin. And it was just one of those, like, just misused, like, terms are wrong. And then later when they're dumping it down the well, and he's like, well, we don't want it to get into the wrong hands. And then he starts going, you know, as kids do, is like thinking about like politics and stuff he's heard on the news. He's like, I mean, what? It could fall into the hands of the Russians or the Chinese or the Irankis.
Yeah, that I was not lost on me either. I'm
yeah.
Like, okay, I think I know what you meant with that. All right.
Yeah.
I get it.
But it was just this like, okay, it's just Bill has the wrong words in his head for things, and which is just a fun, like, little character thing to be like, yeah, he's kind of an idiot.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, he goes full crazy villain mode, which we talked about a lot of, is going back to the well, getting the key, waiting on the return of the monkey, wearing his funeral suit from when he was a kid, this fortress, all of this insane stuff. And
well, this whole thing with the monkey, like trying to get the monkey to drum, because he wanted his brother to die. And then what ends up happening is the monkey gets so mad, he just starts banging on the drum. And it just makes me think, does he kill as many people as he hits the drum? Like, if he hits the drum 100 times, is he going to kill 100 people? Like, I didn't know what that meant.
I think so.
But he was banging on that drum. He was not a happy monkey at all.
Was pissed.
And so then the bodies just start hitting the floor.
Dropped a plane out of the sky and
fires.
Skydiving callback. And all the stuff that was going on.
He just starts killing people. And you get to go, and you get to go, and you get to go. And that was how it was.
Yep. It made Petey be like, everyone dies at some point, but then he turns him into quoting Lance Archer. Everybody dies?
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I got it answered, but I was like, I was wondering why on the phone earlier Bill was like wanted Petey to be with Hal so bad. And I was like, at first I was like, I thought it was maybe something as fucked up as maybe the monkey's gonna kill Hal's son, and that's payback for Hal causing our mother's death. But instead it was a different fucked up thing, which was maybe Bill can get Petey to turn the key, and then the closest person to him, his father, will be a more likely victim. That was his game plan.
Yep. Well, it didn't work out that way.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then after everything, they do have that moment of
connection. Yeah,
kind of getting on the same page a little bit and having that recompense a little. Of course, old habits die hard. The hair slick move. It's just an impulse at that point.
Fake out. It's a fake out.
Yeah. The fact that he goes for it like twice and then almost a third time, like, again, it's funny. It was funny. But they were back together, reunited.
Yes.
For a little bit, until the monkey strikes.
And it's cannonball to the face. Bye-bye, Bill. Thank you for playing.
The monkey strikes. Get it? Strike? It's a bowling ball.
Oh, no. I didn't realize it was a bowling ball. I thought it was a cannon. That makes sense.
It was their mother's bowling ball. It had Lois on it.
Okay, that makes sense. Bowling ball to the face. It's over. Game over.
Yeah, so that's Bill. Really, I just kind of run through if I have any other notes. I've talked about Petey, if I have any other. Last note I have on him is again, I just feel for him just being in every situation in this movie is just absolute insanity. Even like when he's getting out of the car to go inside to the thing. And he has that moment where he's like, it's such a mindfuck for him. He's like, wait, you've avoided me and neglected me as a father my entire life because you want me to be safe from a toy monkey? Like,
it's not a toy.
You're insane, God. Yeah. Like, it was very...
Yeah. I thought when he realizes that what the monkey is doing right now is killing so many people, he says, everybody dies, that's life. But this is like everybody dies at the same time. Mm-hmm. Because that's what was happening. I mean, people were just dropping from the sky. Mm-hmm. And Bill... And Bill, when he's talking to Ricky, because Ricky's become obsessed with the monkey, I employed you to find the monkey, not fall in love with it. Now fuck off.
I have covered everything else in my other sections, just sprinkled in, because we took a lot of different tangent turns and pathways.
We did.
This one, which was fine. I like doing that sometimes.
Yeah. What I have are just some of the differences between the short story and the movie. So I just wanted to talk through them. So, in the short story, Hal's actually married to Terry, and they have 2 sons, Dennis and Petey. In the original story, Bill and Hal's father was mostly not there. He isn't even given a full name, so they don't know. He's known as a merchant mariner, basically, that disappeared. Bill is a minor supporting character in the original short story. He remembers the monkey from when they were little, and the suffering, but he never really had that antagonistic relationship with his brother that the film
Oh, yeah. So this whole big, like, twist for, like, the big climax of the movie was fully unique to Osgood Perkins, right?
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. In the original story, Hal and Petey, they take the monkey to the middle of a lake and drop it in the water. A lot more people die in the movie than in the short story, because short story. After Lois's death, they are taken in by Aunt Ida in both the short story and in the movie. Chip is actually Will, and he's more of a major character in the short story than he is here. Maybe Oz Perkins didn't want to act that long, or he wanted to condense that story. Lois is a bigger character in the movie than she is in the short story as well. And Bill has a happier life in the short story than he has in this version. And one last thing, the monkey is one of those monkeys that plays cymbals, not a drum. Mm-hmm. So those are just, some of the differences. Again, I like Oz Perkins' point of view, and I want to see what he's going to do next. I like that this movie doesn't feel like Longlegs. Mm-mm. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a director that I'm keen on keeping an eye on.
Absolutely. We have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was a fun one for sure. I'm glad I finally watched it. There was a lot of pieces to it that I knew I should like. The casting, the director. I was at least, on board for it to some degree after Longlegs, so I'm now definitely on board. And then anything Stephen King, I love to see what they do with it. So, yeah.
I feel like you have to check it out if it's Stephen King. Adaptations do not always work. Like, they don't always come across, I think, the best. But I think most of the time I've enjoyed them. I think just sometimes they don't really hit the way I think that it's expected or preferred. I'm really excited about Welcome to Derry, which will be coming out in 2026. Yes. It's got a great cast, and they're working on it. I don't know what King's involvement is with it, but the one thing I'm looking at that makes me think that it might be okay, or it could be good, is Andy Muschietti is behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the big one. Be like, okay, it's new material in a Stephen King universe, but so it's going to be a lot more based on kind of the world of the adaptation that Muschietti built with his films. So, yeah. And I like what he did with those adaptations a lot. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah. I trust him. I think he has a good point of view. And I think he also has an understanding of Pennywise. Mm-hmm. Because he directed the movie. So I think...
Yeah. And we're getting Bill Skarsgård back in that role anyway. So
I know.
Muschietti-Skarsgård combo, the duo that we need, the dream team. It'll be good. I think so.
Back together. Yeah.
I'm excited.
So we'll look for...
Anyway. Ooh. Yeah, we got feedback phone going off for this. Perfect time. Because we can keep just rattling on forever. But see if anybody had some thoughts about this one. All right, we've got some feedback this week from guess who?
Catherine.
Of course. Always coming through for us. We always appreciate that. That's all we got this time. So at least somebody's checking in with us. But definitely, still, anybody else wants to give us some thoughts on the monkey, we'll always hear it. We'll take it. But yeah, Catherine comes through with it this week saying, I loved everything about the monkey. It was hard to be traumatized by the Final Destination style deaths when the writing included, we've got to make like eggs and scramble. Those wasps were pretty intense, and the $100 estate sale was unfortunately accurate. It's amazing how many different characters Christian Convery can play. It took me too long to recognize little Gus from Sweet Tooth as Hal, and even longer to realize he was also Bill. Even my 6-year-old recognizes him from Descendants 3. He was the son of Smee from Peter Pan. I bet that is kind of adorable. Yep. I'd like to read the Stephen King short story and then do a rewatch. I'm also curious what King thinks of this adaptation.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I wonder. Hey, Steven, what do you think? No. We've got a lifeline, or, we got a hotline to Stephen King right here. Daphne, you live in Maine. Why don't you have Stephen King on speed dial? You should. I thought that was like part of the whole thing. I know.
You have to be born in Maine to do that. Oh, wait, I was. So I should have that hotline, right?
You should have the Stephen King hotline to call him up real quick and get that answer.
I should. I definitely should. I don't, but maybe I'll work on that.
Isn't Maine, you can just go outside and yell, "Hey, Stephen, what do you think?" He should be able to respond, right? There's like 12 people in your state right now.
I'd be lying if I said to you I haven't heard a joke like that before, because I definitely have.
Yeah.
Maine might be a smaller state, but we're also rural and spread out in places, and so you can't really yell from one side of the state to the other. Well, if you'd like to submit feedback like Catherine, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Run for Your Lives Podcast, or you can email us, runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. As always, go to runforyourlivespodcast.com for all the links that you'll ever need. If you're enjoying the show, tell your friends. We're available on all the podcast players, including Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you're feeling so inclined, drop by Apple Podcasts and leave us a review there, because that's the best way to share the love and get us out there even more. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, we do. Of course, speaking of sharing the love, got to give those shout-outs to things going on in the Podcastica universe around us and beyond. Of course, lots of great stuff going on Podcastica right now. But first I'm going to lead it off with, and I haven't had a chance to say this and it really be leading into something cool in a while, but on my other podcast, Strange Indeed, me and Rima will be back this weekend, as you're listening, because Netflix, the final season of You is out now, season 5. So we will be recording tomorrow. If you're listening to this the day that this drops, we're recording tomorrow. Episode should be up tomorrow, which is Saturday night. Definitely before, like, by Sunday morning, but Rima is so quick on getting this stuff up. I applaud her. She's the best. So yeah, Saturday night, you should have access to You, episode 1. And we'll be covering that weekly. And then it's not 100% official, but I'm going to try my best to talk Rima into then jumping into season 7 of Black Mirror after that. So we'll be doing some stuff. So you can definitely check out us over on Strange Indeed for You coverage for the next several weeks. I'm excited to get back into it. I've already watched the first episode and got my notes and stuff ready to go for recording. And yeah, we're off to a fun start with this season. So I'm excited, a little scared to see where we go in this final season.
I'm sure Joe has lots of plans and will take you on quite a ride.
Yes, so it'll be fun. So definitely, if you haven't checked out Strange Indeed, definitely go do that. We've covered a lot of great shows. You can check out some stuff. And then if you are a Strange Indeed listener, and it's just been a while, I know, but you can come back. We will be here with you this weekend for You. But aside from that, lots of other great stuff going on. Of course, The Cast of Us, covering The Last of Us with season 2, which is also in full effect now going. And man, season 2, episode 2, Through the Valley. What a doozy of an episode. What a big one. Definitely you can go check out the coverage of that episode. Jason, Eric, and Ben covering that, so you can go give that a listen. A lot of good stuff there for their coverage. Always fun. They're not going to spoil anything for you. Don't worry about. I know a lot of people tend to be a little scared of like video gamer spoilers. They do a great job of not doing any of that, staying in tune with what's on the show at the time, so don't worry about that. Of course, Yellow Jackets is done for season 3, but you can go back and listen to all of those episodes, and then you guys just had a feedback episode come up recently as well to kind of close it out.
We did. We had a lot of news to talk about. There still is no official renewal, so we're all kind of waiting to find out what's going to happen. But we had a lot of feedback, lots of opinions, and so it was a lot of fun to gather one more time.
You're still busy with other podcasts besides this one, because even though Yellow Jackets has ended, you are full swing. I mean, halfway through Handmaid's Tale season 6 right now, so.
I don't know how we're halfway through, except that they dropped the first 3 episodes at once.
Check out their Handmaid's Tale coverage over there as well. A lot of this is all on House Podcastica, so if you follow House Podcastica, you'll get all of these episodes. And then go to podcastica.com to find and links and stuff to all of the separate podcasts and stuff that cover all these wonderful shows. If you want to pick and choose a la carte what shows and stuff you're watching, a lot of great stuff. Also, like the Wheel of Time, which is just wrapped season 3. They got the final episode there. Greg and Veronica have been covering that and doing that, so you can go check out their coverage of Wheel of Time as well. On that podcast, also the Star Wars TV cast is back. Jonathan and James, the masters of a galaxy far, far away, back in the seats of their cruiser, back in the starship. Andor season 2 is officially out on Disney Plus. The first 3 episodes are actually releasing 3 episodes each week, so it'll be just kind of 4 weeks, a month of blocks of 3 episodes a piece, for 12 episodes in total. And yeah, I'm super stoked. The first 3 episodes were incredible. A lot of great stuff. Very timely, important show for kind of just the realm we're in right now. Star Wars in a very gritty and meaningful kind of adult-themed Star Wars show. It's great. I love it. A lot of great stuff. So definitely check out those first 3 episodes of Andor Season 2 and listen to James and Jonathan's coverage there on the Star Wars TV cast. Lots of great stuff. And of course, we give some love to other friends of ours outside of Podcastica. With the Pirate Core Entertainment Network, they have What's On Tonight. They covered all of The Pit. So that season of the first season of The Pit is done. So you can go check out all the episodes of that. If you did not know to go check that out, you can check out their coverage. Maybe do a little rewatch of the first season. Go through the episodes. Check out what they have to say. A lot of good coverage over there. Becky and Mandy over there.
They're basically trying to figure out what comes next for them. So they're still deciding, but they're available on Facebook for social media, and so go check them out.
Yeah. Also, the Panels to Pixels podcast is over there on the Pirate Core Entertainment Network. And Daredevil, Born Again, the entire season of that is up for you to go check out that coverage as well. Mark running that. And then, of course, we give some love to our friends over at TV Podcast Industries, who themselves are going through The Last of Us right now as well. So you can definitely check out their coverage. And then if you want to take a little break from the movies, the TV shows, the pop culture stuff, specific coverage at least, we still get pop culture over on Buffalo Podcast. Me and Daphne, joined by our friends Jeff and Jerry, where we just talk about anything and everything and play silly, goofy games that we come up and rotate, every week on Who's Running Games. And it's just the whole purpose of the podcast is just try to make each other laugh as much as we can and just have a good time. Take a little break out of the week to just have fun and nothing but fun and not worry about all the crazy, horrific things going on in the world around us all the time. Yay! So it's a lot of fun. It's a nice little reprieve and respite from the craziness by throwing a whole bunch of different kind of craziness at the wall for an hour. So it's good.
Yes, that is for sure. Yeah, it's fun. It's basically 4 friends hanging out, playing games, and laughing a lot. Usually. It's quite funny. And to see if they can get me to roll my eyes. I mean, That does happen sometimes.
I mean, I might be a little biased because I'm on the podcast, but I don't like listening to podcasts. I don't like going back at stuff that I've done. But for those moments when I do go back and listen to Buffalo episodes, or even I'll just go on Apple Podcasts and read through the transcript of the episode, and I crack up and bust out laughing out loud, just remembering things that we said and did. I mean, again, a little biased because it's me, but also for Daphne and Jeff and Jerry. I think we're all very funny, and we've been having a really good time with it. So,
yeah, thanks for that.
But all right, and after you've checked out all of that awesome stuff, you can come right back here next week to Buffalo. I almost said Buffalo. This is Buffalo now. We've taken over. Everything will be Buffalo by the end. Buffalo's all the way down. No, but you can come back next week to Run for Your Lives. We will have a fresh new movie coverage episode for you. What are we doing next week, Daphne?
Well, when a couple's car breaks down in a remote Nebraska town, they discover it's run by a cult of sinister children who believe everyone over 18 must die. Yes, we're covering the movie that terrified me as a teenager. We are going to talk about the 1984 film Children of the Corn.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely check that out. Anybody, if you've watched it before, then, maybe it's a good time for a rewatch. Or just come check out our coverage. If for some reason it's one that you haven't watched, stop being an Outlander and watch it and check it out, and then come in and listen to our coverage next week as well.
That would be fantastic. And I'd love to know if anyone else was, traumatized by this movie, or if it was just me, if I'm the lone person in the world that was scared by Isaac and his creepy hat.
The hat. That's what was creepy.
Well, no, it was his expression and the smirk and the evil. Oh my God. I don't know why, but it just did freak me out. It still does. Maybe not quite as much, but
throwing back to another classic horror film, so definitely come check it out. And more Stephen King. So, hey, we love us some Stephen King around here. That's not a surprise.
No, not at all.
No secret.
Well, with that, we reached the end of another creepy, fun episode. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And if you have to run, you better run for your lives.
Bye-bye.